Can make a prompt start. Singing of the national anthem. Please remain standing as we invite Reverend Dr. Elton Watson to do the invocation.
In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. Here is the sea. Great. There go the ships. And the blue, when you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are filled with good things. Lord, endure forever. May the Lord rejoice in his works. I live, I will sing praises to my God while I have being. 24 to 28 and 30 to 34. Increasingly, we find that what we believe, and we know more now, that our doubts can create belief, and actions has been from creation. By it, we have shared in all the ways the earth evolved. Tobago, as a man-biosphere preserved area, is because of the faith and the words of persons to ensure. It is our hope then that no one will run. By your words, you created the universe, speaking light and life into the darkness and the deep void, filling it with beautiful and wonderful things for our benefit. In your wisdom, you thought by your death and resurrection, you have brought about a new creation, first in our change, so that we will do what we must do to ensure that this world is a better place. Heavenly Father, we praise you. It's possible for giving us health and strength, for planning this event, and now executing it as it unfolds, with each person failing to be responsible with our waste and other practices as it pertains to the care of the rainforest, our reefs, our beaches, fishing practices, especially depletion of part fish stock. We lift every stakeholder to you and pray for divine guidance in all the duties to be done, be it in shaping policy, employing personnel, promoting the care of the earth, or taking our spirit and continued sense of cooperation among our fisher folk and consumers. We especially ask that the communities. Thank you then for this day. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this privilege. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you that you will see us through without any hindrances. You will see us back home. Amen. Amen.
Dr. Elton Watson, our resident eco-vicar. Let us recognize the arrival of the Minister of Planning and Development, the Honorable Penelope Beckles, and the Parliamentary Representative for Tobago East, Ms. Fali Augustine, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Honorable Penelope Beckles Robinson, Minister of Planning and Development, Peter Cavendish, the Ambassador of the Delegation of the European Union to Trinidad and Tobago, Representative for Trinidad and Tobago territories, big responsibility indeed. The secretaries and assistant secretaries of the Tobago House of Assembly, as well as special invited guests. This ceremony that around 18 months ago, but we are only now having the opportunity to especially welcome you and spend some money with us. A bit of motion sickness in getting to the venue. I think that the blame for that should be laid in his electoral district. And I think that the district is so beautiful that, and I think that this is a very appropriate location for this event. It's quite modest, but nonetheless, of the first input because of all of you. This is a kind of interaction that I would have really missed, and I'm quite sure that most of us feel the same. Recognize a particular gentleman who is no longer with us. He passed away during the pandemic, and he is environmental champions, I think, who fought for a very long time in the context of environmental. She's here, Suzanne, here with us today. So we are here to mark this occasion, and it's a lesson in how projects can actually be sustained. The Creative Watershed and Coastal Area Management Project, the IWCAM project, which Vincent, the FAO, the IFPAM project. Right? And we are really, really happy about the work that the FAO did. There were also very many entities that would have contributed. The Research Institute of Charlottesville, who served as the chief technical support over the projects. But one of the things that they are always concerned about is the sustainability of the outcomes and the benefits of it. We know exactly how to, and we continue to do that today, even to improve our governance arrangements for the resources with which we have been entrusted, and for the EU. And Ambassador, we want to sincerely thank you for those efforts. So without further ado, I'm going to give Lanya Fanovich of the Environmental Research Institute of Charlottesville.
Thank you, Linford. Charlottesville, Mr. Alyosha Vothki. So he sends his greetings to everyone, and he apologizes for his absence. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, as far as we know, the oldest legally protected tropical forest, and our progress towards the vision of a Northeast Tobago UNESCO man and the Biosphere. Our team at the Environmental Research Institute Charlottesville is entrusted to. Rightfully, each aspect of this management plan focuses on cannot be successful if it cannot create a positive experience in everybody's life. Fortunately, the opposite is the case. Tobago's economic well-being directly depends on the status of our forests. Rivers is one thing, and not very convincing for everyone, but experiencing it in our daily life is changing people's attitude and practice. This is why our biosphere needs blossoms emerging that will be the heralds of even more exciting undertakings. Currently, we are working to create the Northeast Tobago Art Trail, featuring our outstanding artists and their interpretation of the relationship between wild biodiversity through research and collaborations. Charlottesville will get the first yacht mooring field for fisherfolk to combat the increasing threats to our marine resources. Once the Biosphere Management Plan is finalized, it will guide the Northeast Tobago inclusive, giving all sectors of society an equal voice in decision-making and implementing its programs and projects through community. We all can look forward to designing food, create jobs, build climate change, make us more competitive, provide Tobago together with family and sustainable development efforts Tobago has ever seen. Stakeholders must be equitable and mutually beneficial. We do for the Biosphere. And as in any relationship, just to be there, care and or House of Assembly and the NGO sector and plan and the structure of the Northeast Tobago Protected Area Management Trust in Northeast Tobago. I would like to close with a heartfelt thanks to the outstanding individuals that supported the designation of the Northeast Tobago Unity. Without you, this would not have been realized.
Thank you very much, Lanya. Again, the theme of collaboration, and this one was very evident in the remarks that Lanya made. She specifically referred to the management and the Environmental Management Authority. And again, we are very, very thankful to all of you for the support that you continue to provide for all of us. The man, community activist, Mr. Bertil Taylor, to bring some remarks to us.
Mr. Linford in the environmental business, and we are happy to have you. Good morning to everybody. How are you all feeling today? I realize that I am here representing civil society. I'm also here as the representative and the president of the Castara Tourism Development Association. And I'd like to begin by thanking all of you who attend here today, N bodies, FAOU bodies. Without your involvement, recognition Tobago celebrates today. This little island that we all call woman or girl, what does that mean? You may not get an answer. But if you then explain to them, it is an international recognized title awarded to places where people live in harmony with the environment. Haven't we been doing that all along? Sustainability, eco, are somewhat new terms of Tobago's culture. Our local industries have always been executed with a respect for nature. From our evergreen rainforest reserve, for generations, our community developed with Mother Nature as the close neighbor. The ferry maid, I'm sure you know about Papa Boa. I'm sure you know about the wife tale. An intimate understanding of our land and waters. Can differentiate different between bird calls. And if you go down to Castara, the fishermen there can tell you what fish, and there are farmers around who can also tell you which phase of moon is best for planting. We are raised with this knowledge that has been passed down from our ancestors. This knowledge is growing. But we are on the environment and what is required to protect it. Back in 1776, they understood how important this ecosystem is and the way in which we all benefit. With this recognition from UNESCO, we had the foresight to also protect the reefs, the mangroves, the rivers, and the diverse between policy. The objective being to generate meaningful progress in the fight to protect our natural environmental awareness has grown tremendously. However, for an embrace a more collaborative approach, civil society comes into play. They work on a wide range of social, environmental issues, such as waste management, the man and the awareness and importance of environmental protection and conservation. Well, I cannot stand here and don't speak. Star Tourism Development Association, we hold similar value. This precious biosphere that attracts fully completed a UNDP because of doing all of that. Increase more awareness. If a pledges its full support to all initiatives that gears towards protecting and conserving of the environment. This is why organizations such as UNESCO are vital in highlighting the initiatives. This recognition will serve to, it is no secret that the tourists, so being able to offer about our beautiful island and our vibrant culture will always further Tobago's appeal. It's a proof that we are on the right trajectory. Or the possible dangers we face if we don't protect this little island. I want to stop there and leave you with that to think about. So, mark this day as a day where we have achieved
he spoke. He also mentioned that is not all that we can sit in. At Butil is there, and guides on the island. It is not my pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Sure, I will leave out somebody, Eccles Robinson. I met with us that you have always natural resilient. Of course, everyone, and in particular the division, ceasingly to get this Tobago, there was some, with COVID, because it's particularly boarded. Sure that the main ridge process is usually a very arduous one. Time. Whenever it has national, as it seeks to establish as this enjoyment and which is island can proceed by man. However, you split forestry and fisheries divisions, as well as the farmers, the fishermen, and the tour operators and tour guides. I am sure that you will all agree that this is the main challenge. We look forward to continue to actively manage this precious natural resource for the rest to be part of this most exciting and important program. Thank you.
Miss Margaret McDuck. You remember I told you at the beginning that, I'm really glad that we're having, and I've never met her through her, so I'm really, really pleased to meet all of them here today. So again, Ms. McDowell, thank you very much for the support. At this point, it gives me pleasure to, I know it's a relatively challenging, yet again, another person I've been speaking to for a very long time without meeting, Ms. Deborah Lalu, the Secretary General of the Trinidad and Tobago National Commission for UNESCO, to bring some remarks. Ms. Lalu.
Minister of Planning and Development, MP, Secretaries of Tobago, Media. Good morning. It is truly an honor to be here today to give honor to the Biosphere Reserve and the observance of Northeastern Tobago as a nature can coexist in harmony for the greater good is the beautifully stunning 88 hectares of tropical rain. It is also forest reserve, IUCN listed species, and another 100 that I must commend who continue to play their part daily in preserving these sustainable fishing practices so as and knowledge about the Northeast MAB Reserve, thereby enlightening the minds of visitors about its significant ecological value. Also, they are the Tobago House of Assembly forestry employees who in their nations. Given the climatic ravages our planet is currently experiencing, a leading cause of climate change. Thus, the reserve is playing its part nationally, regionally, and in the efforts of the Northeast Tobago villagers and the dedicated THA officials to preserve and instantly download information about the reserve. This could spark an interest in both wonders. Given the harsh global post-COVID economic times we are living in, becoming a critical source of much needed foreign currency in the fields of environmental sciences and land use management. They could also apply to the foreign tertiary by making more of the nation's young people maybe reserve could be included in our school's curriculum to further educate our students about our precious park. The state, working in partnership with the Trinidad and Tobago corporate sector, can also assist by providing more funding to train and equip state-employed forest ranger reserves administration, and, by extension, the THA can rest assured of the continued support. It's up to us, the citizens of our Twin Island Republic, to step up to the plate and take responsibility in preserving the Northeast Tobago Man and the Biosphere Reserve.
And the suggestion, putting technology in, I think that we have been doing that. We have some representatives and some of the teachers. As a matter of fact, the Cameroon quality students, as a matter of fact, Secretary General in New York. So, in the process. And finally, Ms. Lalu, I will take note that Minister Roy and Minister Penelope Beckles to assist us with additional resources. And of course, as good, we are quite happy for their stewardship in that regard. Allow me now to break the monotony of the entitled New Horizon. It was developed by the with the support of the UNDP. So we are going to sit and enjoy, and we'll see many of the familiar faces starring.
This environment is absolutely beautiful.
A gold mine of potential that is
Many of those local communities to continue sustainable livelihoods.
And that is why you have to capitalize on every inch of it.
Transfixes you. Quiet fishing villages hug. At her beachfront restaurant in Castara, Deborah Jane Weeks Taylor prepares a traditional Tobago meal. The sounds coming in from across the bay, her constant companion, the rhythm of her life.
When I first started working here, first started actually living in Tobago, I couldn't relate, sit and really totally.
Communities, their culture, and the natural environment that won Northeast Tobago a special designation from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Reserve, harmony and sustainably with nature.
With the designation of the North, it's a place where people can easily demonstrate, teach, study, and learn what sustainable development means.
Tobago is highly dependent on tourism. That's where we generate most of our contribution to Trinidad and Tobago's national income. The designation is going to help us essentially to redouble our efforts to conserve those natural assets that we depend on for our socio-economic development. But there's also a unique response to improve our socio-economic well-being.
The UNESCO worked closely.
What you have here is use and take, and I really believe that every single citizen and resident in Northeast Tobago has
in a sustainable way. People use land and sea in a way that meets their needs now and preserves these resources for futures. Within its boundary, forest, an ordinance passed more than 2 centuries ago. It's the size of 4,000 football fields, a bountiful biodiversity sanctuary, and does.
Looking for children, eh?
Newton George turned years of experience as a forest.
If you look at the roof, these birds up there that are nesting. Yeah, look at them up here. Major thing in this forest as well. As a matter of fact, Tobago, it's a small island. It's only 116 square miles. The reserve itself, it's about 10,000 acres thereabout. And given the size of Tobago, so it's a really good place for Tobago to be in, to be ranking so high. On
trails for an insect meal, or spot the Trinidad motmot that's actually more common in Tobago. Mannequins find a number of thin, low, bent branches throughout the forest. In the act is a stroke of luck.
And when they make that, when they stop call like that, it tells you they move from point A to point B, and it's possible that they are going to display when they make a call like that and they stop.
So he decides to end the standoff. He eventually locates his dance partner, and they're synchronized with the treetop canopy. And she impressed, she leaves the boys to squabble among themselves. We find another layer of the Biosphere Reserve. To show that it's not just mainland Tobago that's included within this protected designation. There's also the marine aspect, all of the sea species that are involved within, and the largest of the three, Little Tobago, where you can find within the biosphere designated area. The other small islands off Tobago's coast nest in this rare tropical dry seas, circle the cliffs. Birds fly. It isn't just the skies over the open seas that are teeming with precious species. Another key feature.
Really profit. If I catch a fish of a small size, I will put it, maintain the ocean.
Not every fisherman understands.
Here, we have reefs from Castor all the way up to Charlottesville on the coastline. And recently, spearfishers on a daily catching the parrotfish to stay alive, coating is the best tool to change how you treat
stuff. All people of Tobago, but particularly the people of Northeast Tobago, because that's where they live, that's where they derive most of their socioeconomic well-being and so on. It's a significant responsibility that is being placed on conservation of those natural assets in Northeast Tobago.
The Man in the Biosphere designation will bring a deeper commitment to environmental conservation, and that could mean
will limit certain income possibilities. The increase in other income from a Man in the Biosphere Reserve. If I want to market my accommodation, well, I can market it as a Man in the Biosphere, and that makes a big difference.
Is aspiring to win this award. Like the Man and the Biosphere designation, Blue Flag is one of the world's most...
They come for eco-type activity. And when we ask them as well in those reports, what would they like to see? Actually does is it takes it one step further, and it also adds a layer of validity and of course high value type jobs.
Green and serene of Tobago life.
Meaning of the dances, so while you do it builds you inside and out.
Progresses into Mother Earth, you know, for the earth. They had such deep respect about how we treat with each other.
Revive.
Around Tobago, acquire funding as an organization, sugarcane factory or whatever. And by doing so, you create employment.
That is the value of the UNESCO Man and the Biosphere designation, but the environment, the start of value of their natural resources and their culture. More scientific research into the beauty of the island's biodiversity, its history and its people, and Tobago.
And we can contribute to that larger, the biosphere in that process by clean, green, safe and serene.
We're going to move ahead quickly with the program. Mr.
Around 15% of the mammal species on the whole Caribbean region. A report over the centuries. This is as portrayed by parrotfishes and the world's largest brain coral colonies. This is the essence of today's launch of the Northeast Tobago Biosphere Reserve on a date between the World Environment Day and the World Oceans Day. It is what makes it so pioneering and so valuable. The manifestation of the living fabric of the planet brings value to humanity and to the rest of the living. Above all, the UNESCO manhood by the local communities, a model well exemplified by this. Indeed, 275 million people now live in more than 725 biosphere reserves. This occasion to commend the Northeast Tobago Biosphere Reserve, UNESCO, to the immense work of the Tobago House of Assembly, the Ministry of Planning and Development, and the Environmental Research Institute Charlottesville, ERIC, that permit this dream come true. UNESCO is committed to double we offer to accompany Trinidad and Tobago and other Caribbean for their exceptional geological diversity. Finally, UNESCO is mobilized, especially countries to ocean health or climate change. this is not enough. Because environmental education is a key climate in the Caribbean school systems. That is why we advocate here of their life and earth sciences Caribbean region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, climate and biodiversity all too well, especially regarding the erosion of certain coastlines. We know well the solutions, and it is not too late to act. Tobago is showing us the way and nature. For your attention.
Thank you very much, Jean-Paul. And again, we are very happy about the continued partnership. It is my pleasure to invite to bring some remarks to us the Honorable.
And I know it speak as long as I originally intended. Tobago, and therefore I recognize, of course, Member of Parliament for today. I want to especially acknowledge Mr. Taylor, PS of the Ministry of Planning and Development. So Mr. Taylor, you I think today is probably one of the events where we can, because we have here this morning just about morning, and I therefore want to congratulate Chief Secretary and all of those so that there is no secret about my love for Tobago. But today, who both have specific responsibilities for Tobago, that you're not in Tobago. So, and I see my sister here smiling. And also I am even happier today because I feel here with you as we commemorate World Environment Day 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, seagrass beds and island endemic species, all critical to the biodiversity of Trinidad and Tobago, and also encompasses, and although Hurricane Flora damaged the forest in 1963, the forest has recovered and is typical rainforest, with most of the forest reserve being lower montane rainforests. There is 210 birds, 16 mammals, 24 snakes, and 16 lizards. It is the main habitat of the whitetail of the known country birds. The industry and has a number of recreational uses. It is important development of Tobago. And why is today so special? I made that submission for it to be declared an environmentally sensitive species. The main rich forest declared an environmentally sensitive area. Ladies and gentlemen, the Northeast is beyond tourism, and that is including fisheries, agriculture, cultural heritage promotion in harmony with the natural environment. Environmental resilience is into our National Development Strategy, Vision 2030, Theme 5, in natural resource management. The integration of communities, stakeholders, our biological culture and craft, tour guiding, and other nature-based activities. In Tobago, nature tours to the Argyle waterfalls and communities. Nationally, our 5 terrestrial species of game animals also support a hunting industry with hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, and our fauna, particularly tropical. Our biological resource also play important roles in coastal and must be managed in ways including growing population pressures of its natural environment resulting from deforestation, squatting inappropriate, to take appropriate steps to protect our communities and their associated managed in a way or integrated approach to freshwater and coastal management, emphasizing the and across coastal lagoons to the fringing reef environments. Given the closer interconnection between is essential to foster effective sustainable land use and forestry practices while balancing coastal livelihoods and biodiversity. I believe it is obvious that all of us that the 2018 National Environmental Policy articulates the priorities determined by the people of Trinidad. Man and Biosphere program is in alignment with the objectives of the National Environmental Policy and will provide a basis for ensuring that and future generations of Trinidad and Tobago. UNESCO describes the Man and the Biosphere program as an in people and their environments. Critical to this effort is the access to data and information on the status of biological resources. Policymakers with objective scientific data to inform the production of and internationally. Until recently, however, recently concluded improving forest and protected area management by the government for the purpose of gathering, managing, and sharing better decision making. Distinguished guests, the systems they depend on. The information for the Man on the Biosphere program and the serve entry points for further opportunities in education and capacity building. To this end, I am grateful that the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources is here to promote and support effective ecosystem management and environmental stewardship, and all partner organizations and stakeholders for their work. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to join me in expressing a sincere gratitude to One Earth in your beautiful forest reserve, and for their continued opportunity to call upon local, regional. The protection of the environment is the upon which we will continue to realize the government's goal of conservation and sustainable.
Thank you very much for your environmental stewardship. It's not the very first time that you are holding the portfolio for the environment. As a matter of fact, I have picked up many a sincere contribution to of that portion of a constituency that she mentioned, the Blanchard Cells. I've been there, I've stayed there, and so on. But I must say, it comes a very, very close second. But definitely would visit in. Chief Secretary, please take note. And at this point, I'm going to invite the final speaker of this program, the only speaker to hail from within the Biosphere Reserve. And so at this time, let me invite to bring the feature.
Speak the her assistant and as stakeholders we have well, and of course, this bird will an important question we have. You can quite a wonderful place, and perhaps we should consider some twinning opportunities because last time and they were asking for the likes of Newton, George, and so on. So Tobago. You can land in Tobago and you can move from eastward and where we ought and where if we preserve the environment, our responsibility to preserve that which we have. And if we know what we have Tobago, there are some traditions is sustainable living. Our clothes, we grew up on that. We grew up on getting our whites even whiter by sun bleaching them out because progress and modernity told us that somehow those things were not apt. And doing those things does not mean that we are somehow backward or we are unintelligent or we are unlearned. Doing those things simply means that we have a greater understanding and appreciation for our end. Conditioning is needed in this space. As so Minister Webster wrote spaces and plant more trees in and around where we live. Think about if every time we do these built development, instead of observe the mature trees that are there, think about what we will gain if we are to keep this rainforest as pristine as it is. And I am grateful that we did not necessarily inherit only bad things from colonialism. And we did not only inherit, I guess, bad names from colonialism, but we do also, with those few words, I wish to commend the team that worked on getting this designation. Aloysia called me one day and said, "Come, I need to talk to you." It was somewhere in the now closed Blue Haven that I sat down with Miss Bob eating somewhere that Mr. Beckers at the end of the meeting at the back of the room. I'm trying to remember where KO that the stakeholders in the space, the CTDA, Mr. Chapsey, T-Tal, SEMPA, and how much effort went into it. Let not that effort go in vain. And let us work to preserve it. That was where we were pitching our eyes at first. And unfortunately, that seemed to not be so possible. The Man on the Biosphere designation might have just been the most appropriate one. And so we have some work to do. file that came on my desk as Chief Secretary was a file to sign off for the lease, the built infrastructure at Little Tobago that is almost complete in respect for that using it after such a long time. Approval is there for the fishing depot in Palatavere, and construction of that should start. And that too will be done in a very environmentally sensitive manner. We're currently planning for Goat Island in Speyside, and there's just so much more work to be done. The reward for good. Again, thank you, special thanks to the artists in the space. Guys will do with the art installation that is to come. Mrs. Charles to her division for some of these things, but this is it here. The environment it is, and while I can use to propel this country for this wonderful plan. Oh, and before I take my seat, it will be remiss of me to not do something very unusual. He worked tirelessly on this. I know he believed in the environment as much as I recognition here today, and that is the former secretary. So he deserves some of the credit for what we can unveil today. And so with that,
All right, thank you very much, Chief Secretary, and again, thank you for being very magnanimous. As a matter of fact, if you had hard work that he would have put in. And ladies and gentlemen, again, the Chief Secretary is a product of Northeast Tobago, so our stewardship of our people in Northeast Tobago is very much alive. And of course, Minister Webster Roy has something to mean that she was a very good prefect. Okay? So, Minister Webster Roy, thank you very much for your stewardship in. This brings us to the end of the formal part of the program, and it's really left for me to say thanks. There are so many people to say thanks to. I'm sure that I'm going to miss some of them, but for all of those people who would have made presentations, we really thank you. We thank all of the international organizations for the support that they had given us in the past and the commitment to continue to provide support to us. In the spirit of partnership as we try to maintain the integrity of our environment. I want to thank very much the Division of Food Security, led by the Secretary with responsibility, Mrs. Natisha Charles Panton. We really thank you all for this facility, for the use of this facility. Members of the media. We want to thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for showing up to make this program a success. And finally, I would want to mention that you see outside. I just want to vary just a bit from what the Chief Secretary would have said. He said that we were going to unveil. Well, we should have been unveiling, but since it is not covered, then we cannot unveil. So we are the art installation, and that is to be led by the Chief Secretary, the Minister, all of us to go outside, at the end of which to come back and to enjoy some of it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Right, that's fine. Great.